Thank you so much.
Hi, Gordon. I'm Kevin. Hi.
Hello.
I've got a question. Yeah. What do you think you enjoyed the most about your high school?
About my high school. Oh, I know very much. My friends. I had really good friends, and we all talked about music, and I was in a band in high school. So my friends were in my band, and it was like we were already a team of music. Hello, hola.
So cool. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Great.
Good question.
Good question, Kevin.
No journalist has ever asked me that question.
Nice one. Come on. Welcome. Sit down, please. Join us.
Hello, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Here we have Gordon. Say hi.
Hi.
Okay, sit down. Come on, join me over here. Don't
Am
sit.
I up on a big screen?
Do you want to say hi with the mic?
Yeah. Hi, Julian. How are you?
Hi. Good. How are you?
Gordon. Sorry, I make a mistake.
It's okay. You know, everybody confuses me and Julian. It's okay.
No, great. How are you?
Very well. And yourself?
Fine. Fine too.
Great.
Okay. Don't you want to sit here?
Yeah, sit there. Come on.
Yeah, come on. Make us happy. There is one place there. Come on, close it. Now, come on. No empty seats, chairs.
Yeah, that's looking good. Looking good.
Okay. Join us, join us. Can you close the door, Vale? Can you close the door? Okay, I think we are ready. We are ready to start. So, okay,
Okay.
let's start. Goron, if you want, and all of us, welcome. Silence, please. Okay. Hello, everyone. Today we have a top world producer, a legendary one who works with iconic artists and bands. Think about Regina Spektor, Mexico's rock band Phobia, and of course, The Strokes. So we are very grateful and very honored to have here. Please welcome Gordon Raphael.
Bravo, bravo.
Great. I'm Nidia Jauregui, their teacher of sociology, and it's a pleasure for us to meet you and to share with these 36 senior students at Cervantes Loma Bonita High School in Zapopan, Jalisco, Mexico. Have you ever been here, Gordon?
I've been to Guadalajara.
Okay.
I think I played a concert there. Yes, I played a concert there, I think 2013 or something like that.
Amazing. And did you have a good time?
Great time. I
Great.
remember, of course, the big spider statue, the Spider-Man. That's a great one. Yeah, I'll never forget.
Great. I'm glad to hear it, Gordon. Remember that mi casa es tu casa. My house is your house, as Mexicans say. And
Okay.
so feel free to come to visit us anytime you want.
Okay.
The goal of this conversation is to inspire these senior students, these brilliant people who
Yes.
live in this place soon to become college students in so many different areas. So to
Okay.
start, can you tell us a little bit of your story? Who were the ones who inspire you, who motivate you uh,
hmm
to success in your life, please?
Okay. Well, when I was 8 years old, I started to play the piano. And when I was 13, I joined a rock and roll band. And you can imagine 13-year-old Gordon Raphael playing keyboards in a rock and roll band. And once I got on stage and felt the crowd and the excitement, I never stopped. So the music was giving me a lot of inspiration and energy, and I just kept on going. Became a producer to record my own songs, and then I moved to New York. I
Okay.
grew up in Seattle, and I moved to New York to, explore the music industry. And soon I met the Strokes, and all along it was the musicians and records I was listening to, like Jimi Hendrix and the Beatles, and some progressive rock bands from England called Yes and Genesis, that really made me want to be a musician and gave me a lot of imagination.
Great.
Okay?
Amazing. When you were in their age,
Yes.
which were your options? I mean, how do you decide to
Oh,
be in the path of music?
well, um, of course, I wanted to be a musician when I got out of high school, but my dad was a teacher at a university, the University of Washington,
Okay.
and he was a PhD. He taught medical students, and he always told me that you can't be a musician, you have to be a scientist, okay?
Oh,
Now, I was enrolled in the University of Washington. I was going to study filmmaking and psychology. That's what I was going to do with my life. And then
what?
1 week before school started, I got invited to join the #1 band in Seattle to play keyboards. So this was a big decision I had to make, and
Yeah.
I told my papa, I said, "Guess what? I'm not going to school. I'm going to become a rock and roll star." And he said, "You are an idiot. You will never succeed, and you're making the biggest mistake of your life." But I wanted to play music, and so I took a big jump right at that moment. That's the true story.
Whoa, that's the
Yeah.
true story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So fantastic. Knowing your amazing artistic and professional trajectory, what place does music have in your life? I mean, it's part of your work, but it's also your
Yeah.
passion. So,
In a very strange way, maybe you all can understand this. Like, music is one of my best friends. When I go to sleep at night, I put on some songs to help me
yeah,
get in the mood to sleep. When I don't have anything to do, I put on songs or watch videos of musicians singing. I just watched Shaka Khan doing something from the 1970s. It was so good. So, really, at every moment, music is like a good friend and an inspiration and an energy. It's like food. I can't live without food. I can't live without music.
like food for the spirit.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. What advice will you give to help them to be successful in their professional life, but also to enjoy it? I mean, is that what
Yeah.
the idea?
Yeah. I have some advice. I have some advice.
Yeah, come on.
Um, it may be controversial, but I think it's really true. And the advice I have is spend as much time as you possibly can doing things that you love to do. If you like reading certain books or studying certain subjects, then go for it. And spend very little time with people or subjects or activities that make you feel weak and a little bit bored. The more you can do towards what your passion is, the more energy you will have to find success. That's what I think.
To do what you love, what you really love.
Yeah. Yeah. No matter what it is, just if you feel it, then chase it hard.
I think this is gold. Thank you so much. And well, introducing the topic about the strokes, because here we have so many fans. Can you
Great.
tell us how was the experience of the production of Is This It or Room of
Right.
Fire? How was it?
Well, I was very lucky because I met the Strokes when they were like 20, 21, 22 years old. They were very young
Yeah.
and they never had success before in music, so they were hungry. and they wanted to work so hard on their music. And so I had a bunch of very excited young people who were willing to work all night long on the music and never give up until it was correct. So this was a really amazing. It was also difficult
Yeah.
because working that hard for 7 weeks, it took 7 weeks to record Is This It? And
Seven.
I'm talking staying up till 7 in the morning, and getting very little sleep and working hard. But it was really beautiful and the music sounded great all the time. It was great being with that music. So I'll say that.
Whoa. The power of youth. Do
Yeah.
you think there is any chance to work with the Strokes again or with any member such Julian Casablancas or
Yes. Sometimes Julian asked me if I would like to record his band, The Voids, and I said yes. So we'll see if that happens. And you never know. Maybe the Strokes will call me up to make a reunion album
yeah,
sometime in the future. We never know.
we really hope so. Yeah, that will be fantastic. Okay.
Thank you.
So
Yes.
we wait for it, hopefully.
Okay.
If there is any questions from the students who wants to start, come on.
Yeah. Anybody want to say something?
Yeah, come on.
Uh, hey, I have a question for you. It's
Please.
like, have you ever tried another like rock, just rock, heavy rock, like Scorpions or something like that? Because that
I
you,
like Black Sabbath,
yeah.
and I like Jethro Tull, and I like let's see, Judas Priest. Their first few albums, early Judas Priest, I really like. Let's see, other heavy rock. I don't know. Yeah, I think Alice Cooper, early Alice Cooper, Motley Crue, some of that stuff. Yeah.
So, have you ever produced any of those songs like heavy rock? Because I heard that you usually produce like how how how's the name of the Strokes? Did you know of Strokes?
Indie rock.
Rock, indie rock. Yeah, you only produce indie rock or something?
I think some of my songs are heavy rock. I mean, I like heavy psychedelic rock with really loud guitars. So I work a lot on my own music, the Gordon Raphael music, and some of the songs are heavy rock. I also recorded a band called the Wild Hearts in England that was heavy rock. Yeah. So I think I have recorded a few bands, and I like heavy music, that's for sure.
And well, do you like the 80s style or 90s? Which you prefer?
Which one?
Yeah, which one? 80s or 90s?
Both, both. There was a lot of bands I loved in the 80s. I'll tell you what they were. Bauhaus, Susie and the Banshees, The Cure. Those are three big bands from the 80s I really loved. And in the 90s, Jeff Buckley, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, PJ Harvey, Portishead. Those were some of my favorite bands. And
Yeah.
Pearl Jam album 10. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Gordon.
You're welcome.
Who else?
Who else is gonna say something?
Hello. This is Kevin, same guy who
Hello.
with you first. So, did you have like to have like a bit of a song that you had already like started, but then you changed it all over, like ripping the paper off and starting again?
Yes, especially in the beginning. I wanted to write songs when I was like 17 years old. And I was studying classical piano and I wanted to write like Bartok and heavy symphonic piano music. And I couldn't even play that stuff. So I'd write a few notes and the next day I'd come back and I'd play it and I go, this is terrible. And I'd rip the paper up and I was very sad. So it took me till I was 19. So it took 2 years of trying before I finished my first song. And then it was like victory. I can write a song anytime I want. And I had a great, like, I don't know, I made 1,000 songs without stopping, till I was, my age now. So yeah,
And my friend here on my left has quite an unserious question, but he
I
really
like, I like that. Let's have it.
he would like to ask you, what does Julian Casablanca smell?
How does he smell?
Yeah, I'm being for real. He wants to know that.
Um, I actually don't know because I was always the one wearing perfume and he would always hug me and tell me that I smelled really good. The only time I could really tell you is that he smelled like whiskey one time and I didn't like it. Like really bad, like whoa, whoa, whiskey. But generally he smelled good, but I couldn't remember exactly a Julian smell. There's the truth.
Well,
Good question. Good question. And no journalist ever asked me that question.
Hi, my name is Santiago, and I wanted to make a question about specifically something about the skills of a producer.
Yes.
About when it comes to the stage of production in a song, what
Yes.
makes the difference between good quality and professional quality?
Well, I'm a very unusual producer. All I care about is how the person who's making the music feels. Like, what do they want to do? And for me, the best job I can do is if when we're done, they smile and they had a good time and they love the song. So for me, a good producer makes the person who made the music happy and makes them smile. Even if some people want to do very messy music, some people want to do music that sounds like they're just throwing things on the floor and making noise. And if that's what they want to do, I want to help them do that. And some people want to be very precise, like scientists, and they won't stop until every note is perfect. And if that's what they want to do, I will help them do that. So I think that's how I frame the question, my friend.
Great, thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
thing that I wanted to ask in terms of how you came through a whole career in music, in art. How,
Yes.
what was the sensation or the feeling that kept you away from stopping or trying something else, maybe?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. I started playing professionally when I was 13 years old. And when I was 33 years old, I got a record contract and a publishing contract, and I went on tour. And suddenly I had money and I could pay my rent and I could go to restaurants and I could buy guitars. So it took me 20 years of being just a bum, just like playing music and not getting paid very much and kind of sleeping on people's couches, whatever. But I always thought, I'm a genius. I thought I could do anything, it's just going to be a matter of time. So I had a lot of belief in myself. And the biggest thing was the love of music. I was not going to do anything but music.
Sure, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you. More questions, please. Or even jokes. Hello.
And as in your productions, like what would you think that you like the most? Uh, I'm gonna ask two things: your favorite production and your favorite thing about producing.
Very nice questions. Super good questions. Okay. My favorite thing about production is when I'm working with somebody that's amazing me, and it happens a lot. I'm very lucky. I walk into a room and there's a band and the drummer is playing an amazing beat and the singer has an amazing voice and the words that are coming out are blowing my mind. So when I'm working with really interesting people doing crazy stuff, I feel so happy. I feel like I'm a music fan and I'm just listening to great stuff. So that's one part of the question. And one of the best things I ever did was working with Regina Spektor because she could play the piano so incredible, like Beethoven or something, and then sing at the same time these crazy lyrics. So her piano playing was going crazy, and at the same time, she was singing the for real vocals for the production right there live in front of me, and I was just jaw open the whole time, going, "Wow, just incredible."
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Hi. I have
Hi.
so as a person who is in the music industry, what change have you seen in the industry that worries you or excites you?
Worries me or excites me? Okay, I'll say worry first. Um, I'll say two worries. One's funny one and one's serious. The first thing that worried me is when I grew up, we had these big vinyl records, okay? I have lots of them at my house. And they were so cool because you could open them up and read the words and see the pictures and hold this big piece of vinyl. Now it's just a megabyte of information coming down from a streaming services. The relationship has changed. It's not something to hold and to put on your shelf and to look at every day. It's something digital, okay? That's one thing that worries me. Another thing that worries me is it's very hard for people on the streaming services to make enough money to buy Rolls Royce or a boat or have a house or anything like that, let alone groceries. It's very hard to make money in the streaming age. So that's a worry. That's another worry. Okay. Now, did you say the other question was that what do I like about today's day? Yes. It is that when I look on social media, I see lots of people your age playing music, playing drums, girls and boys playing drums, girls and boys playing trumpets and piano and in bands and making electronic music. So the good news is that all over the world, people are still playing music and want to learn it, and they have the skills and they have the same motivation like I did when I was in high school. Okay? Is that clear?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, uh,
Hello.
my name is Ivana, and my question is, as a producer, is there a band or artist, like past or present, you dream of working with?
Um, in the past, it would be Jimi Hendrix. I wish I could record Jimi Hendrix. I just want to see how he does that trick, how he does that music. So I would say that's the past. And in the present moment, I just worked with a band from New York called Cab Ellis, Cab Ellis. And they're so good that I want to work with them again. And I think everybody should know about their music.
That's so cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Aaron, and I have a question too. And my question is, from all the songs that you have produced or worked on in all your life, which one is your favorite?
Oh, that's so hard. It's impossible. Even if you said of the Gordon Raphael songs, I couldn't tell you one favorite. And there's so many Stroke songs that I love, and I just have a list of favorites.
Which
I
one?
did I did record a band from Mallorca, Spain called Satellites, and they have a lot of music that nobody knows about that I recorded that I think are some of the best songs in the world. They're just beautiful. So that's all I can tell you.
Thanks.
Sure.
Hi, I'm Regina. If you had,
Hello.
oh, I'm gonna ask it now. If you had total creative freedom and budget, what kind of musical project would you create from scratch, like today?
Could you say that again? Because I couldn't hear very clearly.
Oh. If you had the total creative freedom and budget, what kind of musical project would you create from scratch today?
That's a very good question. I think I would rent a very big theater and I would have all my paintings that I made, which was like 200 paintings. I would have them digitized and projected on the walls while a band played my music and I was singing. And then dancers were dancing, and then magicians were doing tricks with fire and tumbling and things like that all at the same time, maybe in a museum.
Oh, that's fun.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Very good questions. Very good questions, team. I have to say, enjoying this.
So this is Kevin again.
Hello.
um, when you were working with the Strokes, do you think that they were any difficult? Like as people, like I know we are all complex, but do you think like they were extra special, like to treat or to please or to do something with them?
Okay. Um, Many bands that I recorded in like the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, they would like work hard, but if there was a little mistake or something was not perfect, they would just say, well, it's rock and roll. It's not rocket science, or they'd say, close enough for jazz. Okay. But the Strokes, they were like, no, no, no. There's not going to be one mistake. If there's a mistake, we're doing it again. In fact, that's too quiet. That's too loud. This should go over there. This should go up a little. This should go down. So they were so incredibly demanding, but in a good way. I cannot say they were they were being crazy. And there's like two types of perfectionists. There's a happy one and a sad one. The sad one has a vision of perfection and they can never get there. No matter how hard they try, they're going to be disappointed. And the other kind, they have a vision of perfection and they try and they try and they try and eventually they get it and then they're happy. So I think we were happy perfectionists.
But like, do you think like it was something collective, or do you think like one of them was more a perfectionist, or?
It was a collective. Julian wrote the songs that I recorded, so he was like the boss, kind of, but everybody in the band was all on the same team. Even the guru, if you see the picture of the guru on the first album, he was also doing the same thing. So I was the one sitting doing the controls, and everybody was telling me how they wanted it and what to change and what to do, and like that.
Okay, so thank you.
You're very welcome.
I wanted also to ask, when it comes to your own work and like your own career, what do you think differentiates you from other producers?
I think I have something very unique as an artist and a producer, which is some people write a song and they rehearse it and then they record it, or maybe they play it at shows. What I do is I learned when I was 10 years old, I had a teacher on piano who taught me how to improvise. That means making things up out of the air. Put your hand on the piano and make music, just nothing you've done before, something new. So when I'm in the mood to write a song, I get my keyboards out, I get my guitars, I get my microphone, and I just start playing something on the guitar. And I go, oh, that's cool. And I record it. And then I go, what goes on top of that? Here, let me get my bass. And I play the bass line. And I go, what goes on top of that? The keyboard. Now it's time to sing. What am I going to sing? I don't know. I'll get my notebook out and a pencil. And I start singing and I write the words down that start coming out of my mouth. So everything I do comes out of the air like magic. And I think that that's rare. I think that's unusual about me. And I really like it because it's coming from a new place. I didn't plan it. I'm not in control of it. I'm just doing it.
And so, do you think it's for your own work? Do you prefer to have a song prepared or planned when it enters the studio, or to have less elements panned out before?
I'd say 80% of all my songs, I probably have 500 songs on the internet right now on streaming services. 80% of it I did all by myself. And then I can make it up from zero. But when I have a band, they want to know what to play. So then I rehearse. I show this is how the drums go. Here's what I play on guitar. What do you want to do on your bass? I collaborate with the musicians and we plan it out before we go in the studio so that everybody knows what to do. So that's my ratio, 80-20.
Sure. So, at the end of the day, what is the routine or the process entirely from when you enter the studio?
If it's by myself, Normally, I can start at 6 o'clock at night after dinner, and by 2 in the morning, I could have a finished song, and it's mixed, and it's got lyrics, and it got a piece of artwork on Photoshop, and it's uploaded up to Bandcamp. So it takes me one night to come from zero to a finished song that's mixed and out in the world. Okay. And when it comes to a band, I might have 3 rehearsals and a couple shows, and then go in the studio and record 9 songs in one day.
Sure. And how would you advise to get out of maybe creative block?
Um, Go for a walk, go see friends, go in the woods, watch a movie, read a book, take a couple days off, go to a new town for a visit, see a new city, just get some new ideas. Don't sit there in front of your instrument and freak out. That's not how you get over it. Just do something different until you feel inspired again.
Thank you for the advice.
You're welcome.
My friend Kevin asks, how many instruments do you play?
I play in order of how good I am. I'd say keyboards first, voice, guitar. Was that all? Keyboards, voice, guitar, drum programming, and production.
Sure.
So I can't play drums very good, but I can do drum production, and I like to work with a good drummer.
And which one do you like the most?
Um, I like electric guitar because you can bend the notes and you can't bend the notes on a piano. I like keyboards because they make outer space sounds like synthesizer sounds. And I like vocals because you can say the weirdest words and make up poetry that is completely crazy.
Thanks.
Sure.
Hi. So I want to know how involved were the band members of the Strokes in the technical side of recording, mixing, and the sound decisions.
Well, first of all, I recorded 2 records, Is This It and Room on Fire. And for both of those, Julian wrote the music and he wrote all the parts for the music. So he wrote the drum part, he wrote the hi-hat, he wrote the bass, he wrote the guitar, he wrote the vocals. So for many rehearsals, the band had to play, he was the director, telling everybody what to do and making sure they were doing it good. When they came to the studio, they oftentimes knew what they wanted, but they didn't know how to describe it. Like Julian would say things like, can you make my vocals sound like your favorite pair of jeans? They don't have holes in them, but they're not new. And I go, oh God, what's that sound like? I'd have to figure out what he meant. And other than that, they were all involved. Uh, like maybe Fabrizio would say, "Hey, Albert, you played that solo better in rehearsal, so do it again." He'd say something like that. Or Nick could say, "I don't hear my guitar as loud as Albert's guitar. Turn it up a little bit." They were all involved, but they didn't like touch the EQ and they didn't touch Pro. I was the one doing all the engineering and the technical stuff. Okay.
And did you know right away, because I love the Strokes and I think it's a great band, did you know right away that Is This It will become such a defining album of the Strokes?
Well, that's a very, very good question. I recorded a record with them before Is This It? The EP, it's called the Modern Age EP, and they recently released it as part of a singles thing last year. Now, when I recorded them the first time, they did Last Night, they did Modern Age, they did Barely Legal. And I thought, oh, this is really cool music, but nothing's going to happen with this band because people don't like rock and roll anymore. Too bad for these kids. But then that record got picked up in England and became really popular. And when it came time to do the album, Is This It? It was already known that when this record came out, the world was going to flip. Things were going to blow up. We already knew that. I knew that. And so it was very exciting working on it because of that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, it's Aaron again, and I have a
Hello.
question that what advice would you give to yourself when when you were 17 years old?
Keep going. You're doing the right thing. Don't listen to those people. Don't listen to your best friends who tell you you're not good enough. Don't listen to your dad who tells you you're going to starve and you're never going to make it. Just keep doing what you're doing.
And when you were 40 years old?
When it's 40 years old, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. Ready? Hey, stop smoking marijuana. It doesn't look good on you.
Thanks.
Sure.
Hi, Rafael. I have a question for you. I'm Sahir, and
Yes, sir.
I think something the same as you. That is that now we are living such an era, a strange era. I think we are going in the wrong path. I think that there's no music anymore in the industry. Everything is commercialized. Everything is marketing. Everything is just like in a generic formula. And because when you go back to the 80s or 70s, it's like there were really good bands. There
Yeah.
were like really good uh, artists. Because
Yes.
now something I can see in my generation is we love formulas. We love something that is produced in mass.
Okay.
Like one question for you is: you think has music evolved or de-evolved over time, and by what standards do we judge this change?
Okay. I'm going to do a little bit of disagreeing with you and a little explaining of why. Okay. Because I went to New York in October and I recorded 27 bands in New York, and they were amazing, and they're really young, and they're rock and roll, and they play great. Okay. Now, no journalist knows about those. There's no magazines covering. The news doesn't know. The whole world doesn't know that there's this giant rock and roll scene going on in New York because in the old days, in the 80s, they had music magazines like NME and they had the Trouser Press. They had all these young people would go to these magazines like the Bible, like, wow, who's this? Oh my God. Now, no magazine, not even NME, can make money talking about music. They have to talk about television shows and they have to talk about rap beefs and they have to talk about, everything, a little bit of music. So I think that there's great music happening now, but it's not the most popular topic in the world anymore. People have Nintendo, they have the internet, they have dating websites, they have a million things. Whereas in the old days, we had a little bit of TV, we had some movies to go to, and we had music. Otherwise, you'd be very bored. Now there's so many options that music has a different role in society. So I say there is a lot of great music in the world. It's just it's not the most popular thing anymore. It's not superstars. And even in the 70s and the 60s and the 80s, the most popular music was really boring. It was all formula, corporate crap. When I was 10, 11 years old, I was listening to the radio going, this isn't the real thing. This is just some commercial crap. I'm not going to listen to this. So that's been going on for a long time. I think that's all I have to say about that.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
I am an extra. I'm not a student, but I have a
Well,
question. I am a brother of the host. That's
very
why I'm
good.
here. Uh,
Welcome.
if somebody of this classroom wants to begin a band, a path
Yeah.
like you did, uh, which which three steps or five steps, if you want, pick the number, would you advise to us to begin,
Yeah.
but with methods? Which would your three steps about the
Yeah.
beginning of a band? That's
Okay, ready? Here you go.
And my second question, if I can, it's which is the best public in your empiric experience? I don't know. You are you are. ¿Cómo se dice estabas? Estado? Have been you have been in some countries. In your expertise, which country or which public are maybe your favorite?
Okay. First question. The 3 steps. You have to have an idea in your mind what you want to sound like. What are you going to do? Are you going to scream? Are you going to are you going to make classical music? What are you going to do? So come up with the idea for the music first in your head. Second, how are you going to look? Make your hair and make your clothes and make the way you walk be the way that you want to be, okay? And the third thing is find people to work with that like the way you look and like your musical ideas, and everybody feels the same way. And when you have your music idea, you have your look down, and you have your friends ready to play music with you, you're going to be a team, and you're going to be like a little army for music. Okay? All right. I'd say, yeah, there's some great publics for rock music that I have experienced. Number 1, Argentina. Oh my God. It has to do with the way that rock music functioned during the time of the dictator. Okay. So it became almost a religious thing. They have their own John Lennon, their own, Charlie Garcia. They have, all these great stars there, and they love rock and roll, and they didn't stop. Like Europe and America stopped loving rock and roll in the mid 2000s, but Argentina never stopped. So it's great to play there. And also, Mexico obviously has the great festivals and the great audience for rock music. I've been to Corona Capital one time with Moderato, I think I went there. And wow, what a great time. What a great time. Yeah.
Well, last question.
Any last questions? Oh, a couple more. Yeah, we got to go for a couple more.
Sorry, like really fast. Of the new younger bands that you have worked with, which one would you think that will be as big as the Strokes in the future?
I don't know if any band will be as big as the Strokes. Quick summary. When the Strokes came up, it was the first time that the internet worked. The internet did not work for any bands before the Stroke. It wasn't ready. You couldn't even put music on the internet. Suddenly the Strokes come out with Is This It? And the internet is spreading the music like mad all over the world. And at the same time, the old music industry wasn't dead yet. So the major labels were pouring tons of money, MTV, magazines, radio stations. They had the old world and the new world at the same time. And I think that was a huge advantage why what helped them a lot. And I don't think other bands have that opportunity right now. So I think some of the bands I know will be big, but the Strokes are going to be king for a long time.
Hi, I'm Pet. And my question is, while working with the Strokes, did they already have a clear sound in mind, or did it evolve during the recording process? What do you think it contributed to their growth and the development of their own unique sound?
Well, that's a very good question. When they came to me, I said, "What do you want to do here? How can I help you here?" And Fab said, what everybody else is doing in New York, that's what we don't want to do. And that gave me the idea right away. What every other band was doing was they were using computers to build the biggest productions in the world with 3 snare drums and 3 tambourines and backing vocals and reverb and effects. Giant sounds were happening in the year 2000. So I said, if you want to do the opposite, go in there with your band and play the song, and I'll record you with 8 microphones and just play the song in one room, make a lot of noise, and I'll capture it on 8 tracks. And when they heard that, they said, yeah, That's exactly what we wanted. And then Julian didn't know what his vocal sound should be like. And I was listening to a lot of industrial music all through the 90s, and they put distortion on everything. So I put tons of distortion on his voice, and he heard that and he said, "Oh, I don't like that. But what if you like dial it back? What if you just make it like a little bit of that?" And so I put it back and he sang again and he loved it. And that became the sound of the early Strokes records was slightly distorted vocals and a band playing with 8 microphones in a little room. So, and they loved that. They took the same machine on tour with them that made the vocal sound that I got, and that became their signature sound for many years. Okay. And as far as their growth, for some reason, the world fell in love with the band and they got to feel really good about their ideas and they got to travel and they got to quit their job as a bartender and students. They were bartenders and students when I met them. And a year later, they were touring the world and on airplanes and on interviews. And yeah, their life changed for the better, and so did mine.
Thanks.
Sure.
Very briefly, I heard you say that you often like to work with bands that maybe are lesser known. And my question is, what makes you catch interest in a band that isn't necessarily popular, but that you want to work with?
It's my karma. You know, karma? No band that's popular has ever called my phone number, not in my whole life. The only people that call me are unknown bands. They call me all the time. And the Strokes were an unknown band. Regina Spektor was an unknown artist. I just work with these people because I look on Instagram and somebody from Brazil or somebody from Paris says, "Hey, will you come record my band?" I go, "Yeah, sure I will." But no famous band has ever asked me. Isn't that funny? That's a crazy karma.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Except for phobia.
So Kevin again. Hi.
Hi.
You just mentioned like you worked with Regina Spektor and the Strokes. Like I think they are two very different worlds. So what would you say that you learned the most about those two worlds? Like what was
Well,
your biggest learnings from those experiences?
first of all, have you ever heard the song where Regina Spektor sings with the Strokes? Okay, you got to hear this song. It's called Modern Girls and Old Fashioned Men. Okay? Regina Spektor and the Strokes together. And they're not very different. Really, they're both incredibly talented artists that demand perfection and they can deliver. Just because one's a woman playing the piano and the other is 5 guys playing rock and roll, there's not a lot of difference between them. They're both crazy geniuses, okay?
Gordon, thank you so much. Now, before we ask you to have a picture with us, we want to say that for class 31 and Cervantes Loma Bonita, was a honor to have this conversation with you. We are greatly thankful about it, and we appreciate your time, your artistic spirit that guides so many talented musical bands, and we wish you the best in all your projects and hope to see you soon in Jalisco with great
Okay.
enthusiasm for any upcoming collaboration. Really, so thank you. We want to have a picture, to have a photo with you. So we're moving to see ourselves.
Okay.
One sec. Let's go.
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go.
Come on, everybody. Let's get cozy.
That's right. Okay. Con todo, con todo. Super fast, please. All of you. The whole classroom.
Pero las tres todos dicen gordo.
Okay, again.
Está yendo.
Is that correct? ¿Eso está bien? ¿Tú nos dices, Dani? Una. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Gordon. God bless
Thank
you.
You too. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you. Really, thank you. And well, as I said, our house is your house, or please, you're welcome to visit us anytime you want. Have a
Okay.
great evening.
See you later. Hasta la vista.
Hasta la vista. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.